taxes, keeping my book straight, running a profit and loss statement, it all gets so confusing. I used to spend more time trying to worry about my taxes and if I'm doing them right than I actually did working on my business. I needed a solution. That is when I found Core Financial. Core is a team of tax professionals that actually care about real relationships with their clients. From the moment I hired Core, I was able to trust that I will be fully taken care of. They run my books, keep me up to date with my finances, and make sure I'm taking full advantage of all the tax breaks I qualify for. Are you struggling to understand your finances? Do you need help making sure you don't make any mistakes? Look no further. Core Financial. Both Nick and I are huge fans of Core Financial, and we know you will be too. Check out howtofilmweddings.com/core to see what they can do for you. Core Financial. Real relationships. No surprises. I think I'm good. I have other things, but I talked for a while. I think I'm good.
Hello and welcome to the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is Nick Miller, and today I am joined by my best good buddy and dozens and dozens of listeners because we are recording this actually live in our Facebook group. But John, I can talk to you and we can interact, with our voices and stuff. So how are you doing today?
We can interact with our voices. That is how we interact with each other. Yes. I'm doing really well. Like you said, we are live currently as we're recording this inside of our Facebook group. We've got 20 or so people kind of with us in the Facebook group. Shameless plug, if you're listening to this and you're not part of the Facebook group, facebook.howtofilmweddings.com. Obviously, we're going to be answering and doing some stuff here in a second live with the audience, but if you're listening on iTunes or watching on YouTube, we're not live at that point. So just throwing that out there, if you ask questions and we don't respond to you, and you're not listening in this moment live on Facebook, we're sorry. So anyway, Nick, you posted a graphic yesterday in our group talking.
One of us did.
Asking questions to our group about sales.
Mm-hmm.
All about sales. We had a lot of questions come in, and we're also going to take questions from our audience. But we just wanted to have a conversation about sales. We talk about sales a lot with our podcast, but now more than ever, making more money per couple, per client is more crucial to your business than ever. I mean, you think about it with everything that's been going on, with weddings being shut down, some of them being opened back up. The subject of sales is so important, and not only sales, but the relationships that we're building with our couples. So, we wanted to have an open dialogue about that. We wanted to go a little deeper. And so if you're watching live, if you have a question, it will actually help us out. If you have a question, to comment or put it in the comments below, and we will get to it. Nick, anything else to add before we hop on over there to the questions?
I don't think so. I think we just go ahead and hop in. And again, so we have a few that people have submitted ahead of time that we'll be answering. As John was saying, if you have any questions or something we say like, what did you mean by that? Nick, please clarify, because you sounded not very smart. Whatever that is.
That would never happen.
Oh, I'm sure that no one ever thinks that. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump into the questions. Okay. I'll start with this one, and it's from our friend Matthew Reed. Matthew, he was on Monday's episode talking all about race relations and Black Lives Matter and everything, and how we, it was vulnerable for us, but we were so grateful that we were able to have that on, and so grateful for him and that. So Matthew asked this question: what are some key things that come up in conversation with a couple that is on a budget to still book you at your normal rate?
Yeah, the question about budget, it's always interesting, because I don't know too many people that just come to you and say, I want to spend more than most people. Like, that's not their natural reaction. Right. They've been on the Wedding Wire or The Knot, and they've seen, hey, the budget for a wedding videographer is $1,000 or $1,500 or average or whatever, and so they don't really even know what to ask. And a lot of people, when you think about it, when they're contacting you, they don't know what questions to ask. The only thing they really know is like, what do you charge? I'm on budget. I'm on a budget. I don't know. And so The reason that they're telling you that, though, is because they don't understand the value that you bring to the table. Now more than ever, you should, in not a sleazy way, but you should be able to communicate the value of how important these memories are. Mm-hmm. And so the only reason that they're not willing to pay you more is your product isn't good enough or they don't see the value in it. And so if you don't see the value, if you're not good at showing them the value with the quality of your work or the way that you present yourself to them, they're only going to know what they know online. They're not going to see the value. And so, it comes down to, how are you showing them the value you bring? So key things that come up in conversations with a couple on a budget, that you still want to book at your normal rate. So I start out at $6,500, and that's, pretty high for Oklahoma. It's one of the top price ranges. And if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I've got a budget, but I still want to book them at $6,500, I immediately go into building that value with them, showing them the value. Who do you know that has used me in the past? Why don't we, what about their videos did you enjoy? What type? And start asking them questions about how important video is to them. And some people, it's not that important. So, whatever. They're probably not your right client. But like, if you start saying, what are you going to use your wedding video for? What's important for us to capture? And you start building this conversation around how, besides getting married, video is the most important thing you're going to do on your wedding day. And I strongly believe that. More than photos, more than your DJ, more than your band, more than the food or the flowers. Like, we're seeing it more now than ever with 10 people in the backyard. They're still wanting a video because that moment lives on forever. And so the conversation that I'm having is all about value build and reiterating to them why I have that expertise to bring that value. What about you, Nick? I know that was a long answer. Sorry.
Yeah. One of the things is, I think you kind of need to be a little bit realistic. Like, if you're someone like John that is charging $6,500 and someone comes at you, they're like, I have $1,000. Like, there's a disconnect there, and that's not going to work. They might see the value in what you do. Your work might be good enough, but they literally cannot afford you. Okay. So I think that when it's coming to that, you need to understand, and are they in the ballpark? I don't know, kind of where that cutoff is. And I know there's going to be outliers in all of this kind of thing, but, for the most part, if someone can afford, I would say if they can afford $1,500, they can probably afford $2,000 or $2,500, probably. Okay. And so I think you need to just know and understand that. But I think you bringing the value, you knowing your stuff, you being confident when you're talking to them, that goes a long way. The more I've done this, and the more I get into sales, and the more that I talk to people, me just being confident in myself, in my product, and the things that I do, that's going to be a major differentiator, I think, to get them to bump up. But one thing that I'm always doing, and maybe this can help answer Matthew's question a little bit, while I'm doing my sales call and while I'm talking to these people, I'm listening to their pain points. Okay. And what we mean by pain point is what is that thing that they just seem very, very concerned about, or they're very worried about, and listening to that and honing in on that. And if you can kind of emotionally get in there and talk to them about that thing that they're really, really worried about, you're going to add instant value to them on the wedding day, to the whole experience. And so that's maybe something that I would be looking for, and listening to them. And if, they're talking about, the audio, is really important, I want to hear this, but the company that they're listening to are also looking at, all they do is music video type wedding films, then you can use that to your advantage. And then maybe they can see, oh, well, this is worth an extra X amount of dollars. So hope that was helpful. You have anything else to add?
I think I'm good. I think I have other things, but I talked for a while. I think I'm good. I can ask you the next question. Let's jump to Cliff's question.
I like Cliff.
Cliff Lawson says, "Hi, Cliff. You're there. I think so. Maybe still watching." He says, "What are some talking points for selling an add-on to show them you're trying to help them versus sell them?"
Okay. So this is something that I actually do in all of my sales calls. Whenever I'm talking to a couple, I have, 5 or 6 things that Jen and I in our business Wild Oak Films that we believe that we excel at and we believe that are very, very important. One of those is what we call our keepsake edit. Some people call it the FOMO edit. Some people call it the raw footage edit, all of that. But ours is called the keepsake edit. And so while I'm actually in the sales call, I let them know one thing that we offer is what we call a keepsake edit. And this is an add-on, so I let them know at the very beginning of that part that it is an add-on, it is an upcharge. And then I let them know what it is. And I say, this isn't going to be an edit that's, going to go on Facebook or Instagram or, anything like that. But, if it has all of these moments, with your bridal party or with your family that might not fit in your highlight film from the storytelling aspect, but I know that there are memories that are really important to you. And then I kind of sell it that way to let them know I don't want to hijack your memories. Like, I want you to have them, right? And so just talk them through that way. That's one way that I talk about the adding on for that specific thing. And that goes into every single sales call. And then whenever people ask me specifically about, what about more time and, what about this kind of thing, I'll answer those questions. But I've kind of taken the approach to doing the 6-month call, which maybe, John, you can talk about that because you do that.
I can do that in a minute. Yeah, okay. I want to add a couple of points on to what you were before jumping into the 6-month out call. And one of the last episodes we did break down a little bit of building that relationship over time and then adding things slowly, kind of tiptoeing into the pool with them instead of diving off the diving board, getting that kind of slow, steady approach with couples. But when Cliff's asking, what are some talking points for selling an add-on to show them you're trying to help them versus sell them, it's a fine line because if they don't trust you yet, they're skeptical. They're like, are you trying to just sell me stuff or not? Like when we go to the dentist, our current dentist, always trying to tell us something, always trying to sell us it's like you need $1,500 worth of stuff. And it's like, I haven't had a cavity in forever. What do I need to buy this stuff? Like I have clean teeth. They're like, you need to try this thing and do this toothbrush. And it just feels like, okay, I'm going to look for somebody else because like you literally try to upsell me stuff I don't need all the time. And so one of the things that I like to do is deflate the situation, deflate the room. If I'm in person or on the phone, just a blanket statement. Here's and this is almost exactly what I would say. I say, this is my 13th year in business. I know we're going to be good. I already have enough weddings booked to pay all of my bills, to take care of things. I've built my business on taking care of people and not selling them something they don't need. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to let you know whether, and this can be if they've booked me or not, like this is a tactic. If they haven't even booked me yet, I can say, I'm here just to figure out if we're a good fit more so than sell you on something because I'm good. I'm going to make plenty of money. I'm solid. Mm-hmm. And that just deflates that. And it's more about them and their story and their day. So just deflating that side of things. And then I'll reiterate to them if they've already booked, like, I'm never going to sell you something you don't need, but I am going to fight for you for 5 years from now. So if I think in 5 years from now, you're going to be mad that you didn't have the rehearsal dinner, then I'm going to push you to do that because when you hire Redeemed Productions, you're hiring a team that is there for you for life. And we want to not just like, we're not just trying to see how much money we can make off of you, but we want to have a relationship with you and give you something that's an heirloom for forever. And so if you posture it that way, however, whatever's comfortable for you, if you're able to do that with the client, if they are trying to buy something and you don't think they need it, if you build that credibility with them and then tell them, no, you for sure, like you really need to do this. They trust it because you haven't been pushing something they don't need. And so, yeah, there is a fine line for making it feel like you're upselling them or not. But if you just honestly give them a couple of data points of saying like, we're good, I'm good. My business is good. If you come across that like, oh no, I'm out of money. I'm just trying to get as much money per, like that's going to turn people off. And so if you cross that bridge and they realize that you're just trying to sell them extra stuff, it becomes something like the situation with my dentist right now, where it's like, I'm looking for somebody else. And, and so, those are the points that I had about that. You asked me, Nick, right before I was talking about the 6 month out. I can go into that more. Do you think I need to go in that right now, or do you think we should jump into it?
I don't know. I mean, we talked about that, I don't know, in 106, 105, episode 106.
We've done 105 episodes?
Yeah, I know. We've done quite a bit.
We're getting old.
So, yeah. No, I think that's great. As long as you set that up that, hey, I will let you know. And I've had that conversation too when people are asking stuff and I, saying, hey, if I don't think you're going to need this, I'm not going to tell you that you need it.
So
if you really want it.
That helped. Let us know if you want more clarification, Cliff, as you're watching this. But great question. And if you guys, there's a bunch of people that have just joined. If you're just joining us, we're recording a live episode for our podcast all about sales. So if you have a question regarding your sales process, what to do right now in the middle of COVID, just the whole idea of the sales side of our business, drop your questions below. I see a question from Brandon Rice. We can jump to that here.
Yeah, I'll read that if you want me to.
So drop your questions though. If you're listening to this, it helps us help you help others.
Yeah, there you go. So Brandon Rice said he's having a tough time these days with his pricing. I asked him to clarify a little bit, and he says, every time I send over my pricing, even my low-end elopement pricing, which is about $2,000, I get out of budget, but we love your work. He says almost every single inquiry, after doing a rebrand and a facelift on his website as well.
So. I have a question to ask him to clarify one more thing, and then I'll give some thought. So Brandon, hi, by the way. Brandon's a good guy. We love Brandon. You're saying every time you send over, even your low-end pricing. My question is to you, when are you sending that? Are they inquiring with you and then you're just sending them the pricing, or are you meeting with them beforehand? What does that process look like for you? So maybe if you'll answer that real quick, and then I will say though that I would say the majority of people that reach out to me say, oh, it's out of budget. I love your work, but it after a while of not getting bookings, it can get depressing, and then it just takes one booking to be like, I'm the best in the world. And so I think with everything going on with COVID-19 and coronavirus and just the riots in the streets and the looting and everything that's going on right now, and us being kind of stuck at home with our thoughts, my recommendation is to call a friend, talk to them, and just realize that right now sucks and it's okay. That just sucks. That's okay. And then from there, start to really be self-aware and have other people help you by looking at your website, your whole process. Is something off? Is something missing? Are you not communicating well? Are you, something like that? That's going to make a big difference. Did Brandon respond, or is he gone?
No, he hasn't responded yet. So, okay. Brandon, we'll come back to you. If you come back on here, you get a chance to respond. Sorry. I had to cough.
Oh, I was like,
do we want to, we're getting a few,
let's keep answering some of these questions in the group.
Okay. Jason, were you responding to us, or are you responding to Brandon or something like that?
His question is, what is your desired close rate?
Yeah.
So Nick, what about you? Do you?
I mean, if I'm being honest with myself, my desired close rate would be 100%. What's my desire? That's what I would want. But I know that isn't practical, and I know that that's not real. In the back of my mind, I know that great salespeople, 10 to 12% is a really, really great close rate. That would be, so for every 10 people that you're talking to, 1.5 of them would book with you. That's really good booking rate. So I think that I think a problem that a lot of people in this industry have when they first start is they book almost everyone they talk to. And I think that mostly has to do with price, because your prices are so low because you're just getting started. And so you're booking. And so you kind of get this unreal expectation of what a solid booking rate is. So then when you start creeping up into the, $2,500, $3,000, $3,500, $4,000 price point, and now only 2 out of 10 people are booking you, you're like, what's wrong? What did I do wrong? I used to book all these people. And I think that is just kind of a supply and demand money kind of thing, that a really good booking rate is going to be, in the 10 to 15% for booking rate. So what do you have to add?
So I'm like, for me in my business, our website is geared toward a higher end luxury clientele. Mm-hmm. And it's very obvious when you get to my site that it's an expensive brand, hopefully anyway, that's the goal. And it says the price right above the contact form, starting at $6,500, because I'm trying as hard as I can to weed out anyone that doesn't want to drop some dough on a wedding film. And so my booking rate is actually this year quite high, but it's because I haven't had as many inquiries. I'm only at this point getting somewhere between 3 and 10 inquiries a month, as opposed to like if I took the pricing off of my site, I would probably be getting 30 to 50, which I tried last year, and that's what was happening. And so of those 30 to 50, I would close like 1 to 2 of them. And so with the way it's set up right now, though, if somebody ends up getting on a call with me, my close rate is 70% and higher. It's way up there because I have funneled them down into my ideal clientele that is on the phone with me or on a Zoom call. And so my booking rate is technically way up, but I've got 17 weddings booked this year. So it's kind of like, but for the people that are listening, you should be aiming for getting somewhere around the 10 to 20% range would be a happy spot for most people of booking. If you're booking more than 20, 30% of everybody that inquires with you, that's just saying that your pricing is a little too low. And if you're booking nobody, that's probably either your marketing or your branding is off a little bit, your sales process is off, or you're just a little too high. So
man, we're getting lots of really good questions here, and we're going to keep this going, but we will get to them right after this break. So tell me, what CRM do you use? If you're not sure or you don't know what a CRM is, I'm about to save you a lot of time and therefore money. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. Basically, a CRM is an online service that helps you better serve your clients. HoneyBook is both mine and John's CRM of choice. We absolutely love it. HoneyBook allows us to do all of our correspondence, contracts, and payments all in one place. One of the features that I love is the automated workflow. We all have emails that we send out to all of our clients, right? At 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, the week of. All of us do it. Automated workflows make it so that those emails can go out automatically. Since I don't have to take time to, 1, remember to send them out, and 2, to write them, I save time and make more money by working more efficiently. Are you interested in saving time on the business side of things? Go to howtofilmweddings.com/honeybook for a free 1-week trial. Also, because the Honeybooks really like me and John, we can give you $200 off of your first year, and that also comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Go to howtofilmweddings.com/honeybook to start saving lots of time in your business. Oh yeah, legally I have to tell you that John and I are affiliates of HoneyBook. Okay, for those of you that are watching this live in our group, we're not really going on a break, but we're doing that for the podcast that we're going to turn this into. Little BTS here. So there you go. Blake, our editor, will do his magic, right? Okay.
Great questions so far, everybody.
Yeah, keep them coming, keep it coming. Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
John? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and now we are back from break. As we said earlier, we are currently live in our Facebook group. That's facebook.howtofilmweddings.com if you want to check out the group and be a part of the conversation there. So if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or YouTube, watching it on YouTube or something like that, it's not live, but, whatever. Perks of being in the group. So we asking questions. We're talking all about sales. And here's a really good one that I like from Gideon Meyer. What do you do when someone reaches out and just asks for pricing and availability? How long to wait before following up? Would you even send your prices before talking to them?
Great question, Gideon. Okay, so I think it depends on a lot for me on where I'm at in my business. Back in the day, whenever I was needing more bookings, instead of like I alluded to earlier, most people just don't even know what to ask. So they're just like, what are your prices?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So my initial response is always going to be something like, hey, let's get on a call. I'd love to chat with you. I'd love to hear more about what you want so I can give you a more accurate price. And trying to get them on the phone, on a call, on a Zoom call, in person, whatever it is that you do. But again, I'm much better when it comes to in-person or face-to-face type sales and can show them the value more. If you come across like I'm not showing you the prices till you book me or until you book a meeting with me, that's also not very great either. So I kind of balance it based on where I'm at with bookings. So like right now, I only really wanted to do 17 or 18 weddings this year. So I'm not like really pushing. Like if somebody really wants to book me, they'll book me. And so my response now, if somebody says, what's my pricing? I just will say, we start at this amount. If you'd like, we would love to get on a call with you. Just let us know. And I'll follow back up, just like a starting rate, something like that. But a year, 2 years ago, I would be like, oh my goodness, where's your venue? Like start opening the conversation up. Let me see my availability before we send over pricing. When is it? Where is it? How'd you hear about us? And start like building a conversation before getting to that price, if your price is something that you don't like feel like should be what you lead with, especially as you get more expensive. So what did I miss on that question? Nick, do you have any follow-up on that?
How long do you wait before following up? I want to go back to a point that John made is I know for us it's really frustrating when they say, hey, can I see a price sheet? Are you available? Like that's it. But you have to just put yourself in their shoes for a little bit. One, they might not know what to ask for, which is John. And so they're just knowing what to ask for. And also there's different types of personalities out there, right? There are to the point, no BS kind of people that just want the facts. Maybe that's kind of how they are. Or, there's some people that, you ask them a question and they write you a novel and you're like, okay, I didn't need all of this information. Like, why do I care what you did in third grade? Like those types of things. And so personal preferences and personalities and stuff also kind of play into this stuff as well. So it's not, I used to take it pricing and availability. Are you available? Just kind of blank. I used to take that as you're not my client based on how they worded it and how they asked the question. But that may or may not be the case. Okay. So it just could be who they are. So if they're asking for that kind of stuff, I get back with them and I follow up as soon as possible. That's my MO. And then I let all of them know what my starting price is whenever I set up my phone call or my meeting. It's on my website, but a lot of people don't read. And so in that email, I will say, hey, I'd love to set up a phone call with you. Our starting price for this wedding is $5,000. If you have room in your budget, I'd love to hop on the phone and talk to you about it. So I'm doing the same thing, but if I get this feeling that they are just kind of price shopping, and then I'll say, we're available. Here's our starting price. Let me know if you want to talk more. Like you do, Joe.
Yeah, if all they are doing is looking for numbers, that means a couple things. I would think that means that either they just Googled wedding videography and it's a very cold lead. And so like you just want to warm them up more instead of, they're just like, what's your pricing? What's your pricing to every single wedding videographer? Because that's all they know to look for. And so if you're thinking of ways you can be sticky or stick out or, reach them in a way that's a little more personal. I've booked so many people just by saying, immediately either calling them, texting them. If I get an inquiry that's like, this is the date, this is the venue, and there's a lot of things that go into that before they even contact me that like qualifies them as a lead. So if somebody contacts me and they give me their date, I have them give me their wedding venue, how they heard about us, what stood out about Redeemed Productions to make you want to contact. If all those say NA, my date is this, I've got a few just little questions like go to drink at Starbucks. I've got a tell me your story. It can be short. It can be like, I just want them to invest a little bit of their time qualifying them. If they see it and they're like, I don't want it. I don't care enough. Like I'm trying to avoid people that just need a wedding videographer. And so like, that is my heart is like, I'm not just your everyday wedding videographer. I am going to be somebody that helps produce an heirloom for the people that I work with. I'm very exclusive. And that's the mode, so when somebody contacts me, they have been filtered to a point where at that point they know my pricing. They've had to answer some questions, and then I can see, the wedding date is this day. The venue is this country club or this place. Oh, you found me from another bride that we did a wedding with that they spent some major dollars. They loved this film. This is what they love about our films. Now we're cooking. It is not just a cold lead. And so it depends on where you're at in your business. If all you need is just bookings and money and you're going for volume and that's what it is, it's a different answer to the question. And so if that's the case, if you're a volume brand, have your pricing on your site. Just have it out there, have it going. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like you could shoot 200 weddings a year and boom, you're great. So it just depends on where you're at in your business to get in. So great question. Look at all these questions coming in, Nick. It's like people are out there. Hi, everybody. It's good to see everybody in the Facebook world. Not going to lie. Got to get myself situated here. Sorry. All right. I'm back.
You can ask something. You can ask something.
All right. Let's ask Lauren's question. I haven't read it yet, so here it goes. Any ideas of the best way to reach ideal clients that value videography, where many people these days, at least that's what I've run into, are leaning to be on the budget side? A little bit of a continuation of the last question or answer, but Nick, what about for you? What's the best way to reach ideal clients that value videography?
I think one of the ways to do that is for you to be passionate and like love what you do. And so whenever that passion kind of comes out in who you are on social media, who you are when you talk to them, who you are, like I think that bleeds out and people will see that and they will recognize that. And so if you are super passionate about this, I think that will either make them passionate about that or turn them away, which you want to be attracting and repelling all the things that you do. If you really want them to value videography, value wedding film, what's the language like on your website whenever you're talking about why you create films? What things are you saying when you post a film, whenever you have an emotional moment that you'll have forever? If you put that information out there, like why are you creating these films, why they matter, why they cause a difference, and people read that, you'll start to weed out the people that don't care so much about that and start finding the ones that do, right? You show this kind of stuff that you want to shoot. You say the things that you believe that you want other people to believe to be attracted to that. I think all of that will, get in there. And if you're getting a lot of like budget people, from like your website, if you think of it that way, Lauren, does it look higher end or does it look, pretty inexpensive? And so if you want to get these people that value it, but also have a bigger budget, it's just another thing for you to take into consider to have a nice looking higher end website that's saying all these things about videography. And then that will help you find. Now, it's not going to be 100%. There's going to be people that are going to slip through the cracks, but that's a way to go there. What do you got, John?
I would add, I asked a week or so ago in the Facebook group for books that people are reading that have helped them in their business. Building a Story Brand, that book really hit me hard. It was good. And Lauren, I'd recommend, if you haven't read that, to read that. But, a lot of wedding videographers prop themselves up as kind of the hero of the story. And, we're the best wedding videographer. And the book challenges that you are not the hero as the business owner. You are the guide. You are there to help the hero. And in this situation, the bride and groom, the bride, the bride's mom, they are the heroes of the story, and you are there to guide them. And as I was reading this book, I was like, oh, yeah, that's what I did right. That's what I did wrong. And some of the things that really stood out that I did right to add value was guiding people, giving them information. You can be on your Instagram, your Facebook, your blog, wherever it is. But if you're giving out really solid advice and showing them how you're going to guide them to the best wedding day ever and the best wedding film for them in attracting and repelling based on that, if you're guiding them to that, as soon as a couple realizes that I'm their guide, I can sell them anything in the world, because I'm not going to lead them astray. I'm not going to sell them something they don't need. But if you are the guide showing them this is valuable because of this, maybe you've been married for 5 years and that, your grandma's no longer here, but she was at the wedding, and that's important to you today. You're guiding them in their decision. People aren't going to be here anymore. People aren't going to, you're not going to hear your voices forever. When you're, 70, do you want to give this down to your children? You're guiding them in this decision and showing them and layering the value that you're actually bringing to the table. And the passion for what you do will show up in that, and whatever it is that's important to you about why you do what you do. It's you should answer that question to them in your meetings, is like, why you do this? What's your favorite part of this? Why do you, what's your favorite moments from filming weddings in the past? And like, draw from those to help guide them in their story of being the hero. So that would be the only thing I add to that. Hopefully that makes sense. If you haven't read the book, Building a Story Brand, really solid. So anyway,
it's a good one.
Hopefully that helped, Lauren.
Yeah.
What else we got in there? Elena has a question. Nick's coughing again. I'll ask the question. Elena says, and hi, Elena. We did a mentor session with them the other day. Super cool people. I think they just got married. Elena, did you just get married? Did that happen?
They shot a wedding for me in Michigan like a week ago because
that was nice
of COVID. And so, yeah.
Well, it's good to see Elena.
Turned out great. Yeah. Anyway.
She asks, what are some musts of your initial inquiry phone call / Zoom call? What do you always do? Are there things you advise against?
When it comes to the inquiry form, my belief is that we want it to be something that takes a little bit of effort to fill out. Like, we want serious people to work with us. Now, not everything is required, I don't think, on our form, but we give lots of questions. And you can know and understand some stuff about people, if they're just writing like NA, and everything like John said. We're asking them questions, obviously date and venue and that kind of stuff. But then, questions about, tell us your story, where are you in the process? Do you want to work with us? How excited are you? Like that kind of stuff, just to get them invested in that a little bit. Whenever I'm on my call, things that I always do, I'm always trying to get to know the couple. The number one thing that John and I believe whenever we're talking to them is that you're listening, not just waiting for your turn to speak. So whenever you're listening to them, then you can respond to the pain points that they have, the things that they want to come up with. Other than, hey, tell me your story. How did you meet? How did he propose or she propose? Or, those kind of questions. One of the things I like to ask them a question that makes them think deeper. Ones that we have used for a while are stuff like, okay, we filmed your wedding. How do you plan on using this wedding video for your future? If we could only film 3 moments from your wedding day, what would those 3 moments be? And, I kind of preface this by saying, every couple's different, and, you're different than the couple that's getting married the next weekend. And I want to, know what's important to you because, every couple's different and we don't make cookie cutter films. So I'm kind of, feeding them some information that is true, but also let them know my expertise and how I care for them. So just asking those types of questions. And then a must-have, I believe, is, you need to find out the 5 things or so that you believe separate you from your competition. Okay, the people in your area, and talk about the things that you do really, really well, and brag on yourself a little bit, so that these people get really excited about the possibility of, Wild Oak Films or Redeem Productions or, whoever it might be will actually be at their wedding. These people that are really good at what they do. So those are some things that I always include. John, what do you got to add?
First of all, I linked our consultation guide. That is the 10 steps to every consultation that we do, and there's a lot of information in there. And if you're listening to the podcast, just be sure to howtofilmweddings.com/shop. But besides the things that are in there, again, back to the guide side of things, after all the things that you said, I'm always just trying to establish myself as a guide for them, as a friend with a camera, as a person that's been there before. I'm going to make their trip down, memory lane here much easier to capture. They're going to enjoy their day. And I'm always looking for bits and pieces of ways to let them know that I care a ton, that I'd love to work with them, and to stand out in such a way that it's like, wow, I liked that guy. I want him at our wedding. And I'm just trying to build connection in any way. If I think they're a good fit, if I don't think they're a good fit, I don't work as hard to really build that connection, because I don't feel like it's going to, 14 years doing this, I kind of figured out a little bit of who works for me, who doesn't, when it comes to booking. And so, in every time that I'm meeting, I'm trying to leave an impression. I'm trying to stand out as somebody that's very knowledgeable, and I'm okay with giving them advice that they may not even want to hear in a way that's really helpful, that makes them think and be like, no, you don't want to do that. You want to do this because of this, and showing them, oh no, you don't really want to do your wedding at sunset time because you're not going to have time afterwards for photos, or just little things where they're just like, wow, this person is super knowledgeable. I don't know how I would do my wedding without them. And so that's kind of the vibe that I have in my meetings. It works really well. And, the people that don't see that value that you bring and don't book you, that's cool. But that's what I want to be for people on a wedding day, is I want to be like a calm voice of reason. I want to make sure they get all their memories recorded correctly. And so I always bring all that into it. I just want you to enjoy the day and soak it in and remember why you're there, not just to be a production. I want you to be able to just enjoy your family and friends. I want your mom to enjoy the day. So we're going to answer all the hard questions leading up to the wedding. And I'm telling them, it's going to be work, but the day of the wedding, it's going to be smooth sailing. And that's the kind of narrative that I have with my couples, and it works really, really well.
Yeah, definitely. Love all that. We're very similar in how we, go about the wedding day and how we talk to our couples. And anyway, we're still having lots of questions, lots more to cover, and we will get to those other questions that we have right after this break.
Do you remember that wedding from a month ago? Yeah, like that one that you needed to start editing yesterday? But you also need to prep today for your wedding tomorrow, and you're leaving for your first vacation in forever on Monday. So what do? It seems that the only creative part of your edits are the excuses you're going to have to give your clients. We have the solution, Wedditor. Wedditor is a team of top wedding editors, project managers, and account coordinators that help us wedding filmmakers edit. They match the right editors with your style so you can spend your time where it matters most, on your business. Nick and I both use Wedditor, and we don't know how we would run our companies without them. It takes a team to build an amazing business, and you shouldn't try to do it all on your own. Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor to help you free up your time so that you can focus on growing your brand. Be sure to use promo code HTFW for $50 off your first project. Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing. We know the time suck that is searching for the perfect song for your wedding film. MusicBed has spent years collaborating with artists, bands, and composers to make it easier than ever for anyone to find the right song for their video.
With amazing artists like Chapters, Tony Anderson, and The Light, The Heat, MusicBed is the best place for wedding videographers to get licensed music.
Their subscription service was a life changer for me, especially since all of their subscription music is pre-cleared for every social media platform: Facebook, Instagram, Love Stories TV, and my personal favorite, YouTube, all pre-cleared.
And if you are interested in a free month of a MusicBed wedding subscription, head over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed. When you sign up, use the promo code HTFW and you will get your first month for free. All right, now we are back from break and we are going to jump into our Wedditor question of the day. Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing. Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor if you would like more info with them. And this comes from our friend Britley Little, and she asked this: what are the pros and cons of putting your starting rates and or complete pricing guide on your website? Do you see a difference in your overall booking rate with either of these?
Ooh,
that's the question.
A really good question. First of all, Britley, she is awesome. She was on our podcast last week. BritVid is her company. She's from Oklahoma. Super inspiring story. She's great. If you don't follow her, find her, follow her. I would like to start maybe, Nick, with the pros of both, and then we can move to the cons. Does that sound good?
Okay, sure.
So the pros of putting your pricing on your website is that you're, number one, people are going to know, you're not going to get inquiries of people asking what your pricing is, hopefully. So that's a big pro. You're going to save some time because all of your pricing is out there. Let's see, complete pricing guide on your website, starting rates. If you just you put your starting rate on your website, there's a major pro to that because it weeds out people, but it doesn't make them know everything. So it gives them just a little bit of a carrot dangling out in front of them where they're like, oh, okay, he starts at this much, she starts at this much. I can maybe do that. I'll reach out. And so those are the major pros to having the price on the site, the starting rates on the site. Anything else that you find as a pro for those?
So one thing, if you can kind of stomach it, we put our entire price list on our website about a year ago and we had it up for about 3 months. And one thing that we saw was our inquiry rate went way down, but our booking rate went way up because the people that inquired with us, they knew our price and they knew about what they were going to spend. So that's a pro, but it's kind of also a con because if you just want to get inquiries and you like people contacting you, it might deter people from doing that. The cons of not putting your pricing on, John kind of mentioned this earlier, where if your SEO is good enough or you're running ads or something, you could get a ton of inquiries each week or each month, which is going to lead to a ton of ghosting or something like that if you are in a price point, or you're going to get yourself overbooked and then you're going to hate your life later. So that's a big con. John, I got a cough again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. So one of the cons on Nick's point is that, like, I took the pricing off my site for a month in February of 19, and I think I had like 50 inquiries in February and March. And it was like, if you, like, at that point where we were really pushing how to film weddings and growing it, and like, I didn't want more than 15 to 20 weddings. If you want a bunch of weddings and you're really good at selling, like, not putting your price on the website could be a great way to get people to inquire that think they have a $1,500 budget, but maybe bump up to like a $4,000 or $5,000 package. It's going to be more work. But like, I know Jonathan Snyder and I were talking whenever we were at WPPI, and he was saying, I had a booking that they said their initial budget was $2,000. They just booked me for $7,000, and it's like, and he was saying he doesn't put his price on his site and stuff like that because he knows he can get them higher by adding the value. And so, like, it depends on where you're at in your business, but that's a good play. It could be a good play for you. So, that's not a bad thing. For me, the cons of putting all your prices on your website and stuff outweigh the pros. So I'm currently in the boat of, I have my starting price. It is there to weed people out, and it is there to help me not spend all of my time doing all these sales calls. And you, on that, like, a lot of people, I know that, like, Blake, our editor, has it to where it's so automated that he as soon as somebody inquires, he has it connected to his Calendly. He has it connected to everything, where they literally get every single step of the email into a phone call with him before he even sees it. And so like you can set it up in a way to where, sure, give me all the leads. I'll just only do meetings of people that are willing to walk through those steps and book it. So yeah, you had to cough. You were finishing something. Sorry.
Yeah. And another thought that I had, and man, John, it fell out again. It was a really good one too.
Well, I'll pray for you real quick. You just think about it.
Just help me figure it out. With putting, this is what I was going to say. If you are I'm going to put my full price sheet on your website kind of person, I think a con with that is now the bride or the couple or the family thinks that they're the expert, because in their mind, they know how much time they need. They know what they want. Ceremony, I don't want that. Well, maybe mom actually does. How many emails do we get? They're like, it's going to be a short day. We just need like 4 hours of coverage. But it's a full wedding day, with the full thing. But all they're thinking about is literally the ceremony, and then, through dinner at the reception or something like that. They're not thinking about everything else. So that just throwing that out there. If you have your whole price list on, then they know and understand and think this is what I have, and then now that is stuck in their mind. So when you try to talking to it's really hard to change their mind because they have already made up their mind.
Yeah. I've been in a lot of meetings before where, like, in the middle of the meeting, I will introduce the full pricing sheet. And at that point, I can tell I've lost the couple, because, like, they're already, like, formulating, okay, this package could work because I'm spending this much on flowers and I'm spending this much on a cake. And, like, and they're, like, they think they have the knowledge to know what they need. And if you're not a sleazy salesperson and you're actually listening to them, like, giving them the power of knowing everything that you offer and what it costs and stuff like that could deter them from actually just understanding what they need first. And then they may book something that they may book a lower package, and then they're frustrated because it doesn't look like their friend's film that they saw. And so, like I said earlier, in my business, I try to tiptoe into the pricing and slowly, like, they know I start at $6,500 right now, and they know that, I'm not cheap. And if they get to a point where they're ready to book, obviously I'm sending them the pricing info, but you just have to be, discerning on when that is and stuff like that. So hopefully that helps and answers a question. I have a question from Brian Rawson.
Yeah.
That he dropped in there. Brian was on a YouTube video with us about a month ago about TikTok. He's got a couple 100,000 followers over on TikTok.
He's famous.
He's TikTok famous, yep. Brian says, what do you do about a couple who says they're in your price range, loves your work, is from a solid referral source, yet ghosts you after your initial inquiry? I've had several of those types this year.
Sorry about you. I mean, like, that really stinks. And, we've all been there and that kind of stuff, but I'm not sure what you can do other than follow up in a good way that's not like bothering them. So how we have it is we, when they inquire with us, we have an email that I send out right away asking them if they want, to schedule a meeting. And then if they don't get back to me within 24 hours, I send out another email basically asking the same thing. And then I send another one out, I think 3 days and 5 days, just asking the same thing. And then on that last one, I'm like, okay, if I don't hear from you, consider this done. Okay, basically. And it's a proven thing when it comes to sales. The salesmen that do the best are the ones that get rejected the most. Is that, or keep coming back to the people, most of us will try once. It won't go well, but we won't ask a second time or a third time or fourth time. I think that statistic about salesmen, it's somewhere between 7 and 9 times, because they keep on coming back. Not saying that that's what you need to do in your business. I'm not saying that, but I'm just using it as a point to, we will contact them back 4 times before we say, okay, they're ghosting us. They're not going to get back to us.
Yeah, some of our template emails are kind of a paint or get off the ladder kind of email. A nice way to put that. But like, it's just, hey, you're not bugging us. You are helping us by just letting us know that you went with another person. If they're ghosting you, but I would encourage you, like, I see a lot less ghosting now because of the way I do it, where I am working with them via text a lot. Like I'll try to connect quickly via text and just keep communicating through text and email, but like texting them and just checking in on them and like leading them towards, it's not a funnel, but it's leading them towards a desired place. And if they like giving them time, but like I would rather know that they're not going to use me than not, like you're saying. And I would assume that your prices have gone up, you're more than 4,000 or something at this point. And sometimes they're just embarrassed to like tell you. They just don't, they're kind of afraid. And so I'll shoot a text and be like, not trying to bug you. Hadn't heard back from a while. I'm going to assume you've gone with somebody else. Our schedule's booking up and, hopefully we can make it work, but this will be the last time I message you. If you want more information, let me know. But if you could just text me back and let me know if you did go with someone else, that'll help me, close this loop in my mind. If
you give them a way out without them having to just come up with that, like, hey, I'm so excited to hear back from you. Where are you on this? When they've gone another direction, if you're like John was saying, hey, I know that I'm leaving and maybe I'll come back. Maybe I won't. No. John just got up and left for those of you that are listening on podcast. But, if you let them know, if you give them a way out that maybe they can take in an email or something, then we have gotten a lot more people getting back to us that had been ghosting us because we put a line like that in an email for them. So, definitely recommend doing that.
Sorry, I got up. It's super hot in my office, so I had to turn some air on.
No, you sweat. You should just sweat. Are you seeing any other questions in here in the group?
Let's see here. Did we ask Joel's question in the list here about ghosting?
It was very similar to that one.
Okay.
I saw it earlier.
I think that as we're wrapping up, it comes down to building a journey, a process with people from the time that they figure out they're getting married to going on a bunch of different wedding videographers' websites to inquiring with a bunch of people. And so you want to start with showing up whenever they search wedding videographers, and then you want to have a site that stands out from others and is branded well and is taken good care of and it feels different. You want to have killer work. You want to have it easy for them to contact you, easy calls to action on your website. You want the questions to be pointed in a way that help you understand if they're a good fit for you. You want to weed some of those people out with the pricing and the way that you show what you cost and making it very obvious who your ideal bride, groom, couple is. Then once they connect, and contact you, you want to be speedy and you want to respond quickly and have a voice that feels different than just the wedding videographer. You want to stand out in the fact, hey, how's it going? I'm so excited. Would love to, and starting those conversations and getting people interested and building that bond and that relationship with people to then them, booking you and working through the wedding with you and selling them the entire time after, during, I just added for my wedding next weekend, $1,400 worth of coverage this week. They added a $1,500 2-hour ceremony 2 weekends ago just for me to come out and record. Like I'll add usually anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 worth of extras per wedding just because I've taken that slow, steady approach. And so in this time, whenever so many things are uncertain, the cost of getting new clients as opposed to taking care of the ones that you have, be thinking of ways that you can serve better, which means you can sell better. But it all comes down to this entire process. There's not just one answer that's just like, do this and you got it figured out. You have to play all these scenarios through the lens of where you want to take your brand, instead of letting just whatever happens to your brand happen. And I think this whole, coronavirus has gotten a lot of us to realize what is important, and you should draw from that in your brand. And so, anyway, soapbox down.
Okay, good. Well, we wanted to talk about an hour. We're about on that right now. And so we have talked a lot about, various things, for consultations and meetings and like that kind of stuff. So we want to plug our shop on howtofilmweddings.com, where we have a consultation guide where we just break down 10 steps that we have that can help you in your meetings whenever you are talking with prospective clients. Thank you all so much for joining us on this special edition of the How to Film Weddings podcast, where we were live in our Facebook group. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, we will see you.
See ya.